Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bothwell. Appreciate it. I have a card here from Jay. Is it Predel? Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm Jay Patel from
Patel,
Canby
thank you.
Country Inn. I found out this about the 9%. I don't know where they came 9%. Why not less? Since there's only one or two property in Canby right now, we are just struggling to recover from the downturn of the economy. Few years ago, before 2008, we were doing 35–40% occupancy and about $60 ADR. Right now, my ADR is same. We are trying to maintain the customer that walks in. And number one, they argue, oh, Oregon don't have lodging tax. What are you trying to do, rob us? So we have to explain, this is a lodging tax. It goes to the city or the county and the state. And number two, right now our ADR is 20%. I mean, sorry, my ADR is about around same $60, $62, and occupancy is under 20%, which we were doing 35. So I think you should just put it on hold, this whole idea of raising 9% lodging tax. Or if you do, maybe you should give a try, let's try 4% or 5%, or maybe wait until the whole thing recovers, the economy gets better, occupancy gets better.
Okay. Any questions?
I have a
Yes,
question, Mr. Patel. You were talking about folks who come in and say that Oregon doesn't have a.
They don't have sales tax, so they think that, yeah.
Okay, but these aren't Oregonians who are arguing with you on that. These are
Well,
people.
sometimes even Oregon too,
Okay.
Because if they are coming into the hotel first time, or, they don't stay frequent, they can't remember whether they paid taxes or not.
Okay, so these are people who either are out
Yeah.
of state or who have never been to a hotel before.
Right.
Okay.
And also, one.
I don't mind dinging the people from out of state, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have a
But-
sales tax, and we have
I know,
no
but
way,
not-
way of recouping any of the funds that people who come in from out of state. So
Right.
I don't mind that. If they're Oregonians and they've never been to a hotel, I am much more sympathetic.
And then it just, I think, right now we are just fighting the rate competition. Every hotel is lowering their rates to grab the market, And what we have found that third party, I don't know if you guys done the research or not, who is making money right now is the third party like Orbitz, Hotel.com, Expedia. They are keeping big chunk, and they won't pay you taxes. And a lot of cities are suing them and take them to the court and fighting with them. So I personally think, you should not raise the taxes at this time, Tourism, more exposed of, can be, sounds good, but right now, it's just not right time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Patel.
Any other opponents on the issue? Okay. I will close the public hearing. And any other questions from the hearing body at this point? Discussion?
Just one, actually. How do we come up with 9% as the number?
I think the list that you were read off just from Joe, we looked at what's happening around the state, and a lot of them are at that 9%, some more, some a little less, but so we chose 9.
So not based on a goal or plan, but just because that's what everyone else is doing?
Yeah, we just looked at what other cities were doing.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Dale?
Yeah, my comments revolve mostly around the fairgrounds. I will say I was very disappointed that the city had not engaged you, Lori. Shame on us for doing that. We we often say up here that the event center, the fairgrounds, is a precious partner of ours just down the road, and we're always looking for ways that we can mutually leverage each other, and we've got some exciting prospects in the future. And so I just want to express my disappointment and apologies that we did not engage you. That shame on us. Aside from that, I'm really intrigued by the fairground zone idea. As you can tell, I've got a soft spot for the rich heritage the fairground has with exhibitors and youth, and my wife, who grew up staying in the nasty trailer that they would drag down so they can watch after their animals in the heat and 2 in the morning. And I am flat not interested in upping the price on 4-H kids and even the commercial exhibitors that come. There's a reason people come to the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, and it saddens me to see our livestock inventory dropping over time. Now, all fairs are experiencing that, but Canby, we're right up there among one of the best, though. And I do not want to disincent anyone to come to our fair. And I've learned that a lot of out of county people come to exhibit. You can do that at our fair, so we do get a lot of out-of-towners in. I would rather incent the success of the fairgrounds than add a 9% tax onto people who are doing all they can just to get there and make it happen and make the fair attractive. So for me, I would like to defer it until we can explore the fairground zone idea and work something out with the county and the fair people. That would be my preference. Aside from that, I find myself not able to support it as it is.
I would second his thoughts.
I would third them, except I am actually more inclined to put the whole thing on hold for a while, just based on the fact that this isn't gonna, it could affect the owner of the hotel in that he could have less occupancy, but this does, in the end of the day, affect the tourist, and we're imposing yet another tax. I mean, they're already down there in Salem trying to figure out, well, how many other things they can tax on us, and I just don't see, without we don't have a clear goal or plan as to what the funds would go to. Tourism is kind of a broad thing. No specific ideas on how the money would be spent, including how we came about the percentage we're going to charge. I would just assume we put the whole thing on hold. We don't have the economy to support the reasoning behind this, in my opinion. Just putting another tax on the citizens who want to travel just seems counterproductive, because we don't really have a lot in the way of lodging in Canby, and it just seems like we're going to deter them staying and adding more fees to their overnight stay.
I definitely agree with what Tracy's saying, and I think this represents a great opportunity to work with the fairgrounds to help them make that visioning plan a reality. And I think that if we peg the meter at 9%, you potentially scare off a lot of bed and breakfasts and other outfits that may want to come to the community. And so I think when we're in a fragile environment right now, we need to look at building our infrastructure of places that tourists can come. We want to celebrate our tourists and embrace them and take care of them, and we don't do that by taxing them.
Okay. I would concur with all those thoughts as well. Anything from the left side?
I agree with what's been said.
Okay. I think it was worth the dialogue of having, because, if we do have, in the future, that could be a piece that, with hotels, and if we do add an additional hotel, I know that was conversation a couple years back, and it still may be something that comes about. I agree with the economy piece being, we're still kind of coming back on a tourism front, and is this the right time to do those things? So, okay. I will conclude discussion, I guess, and then is there a motion to move forward with this?
Well, there's an ordinance on the.
Do we have that later?
An ordinance.
An We have that ordinance today.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, number B.
Yeah, item
Okay,
B.
thank you.
Mhm.
I guess we will come back to that at that point then, okay? All right, well, thank you for the testimony and the discussion here on the council, appreciate that.
And bearing the warm room,
Yes.
very diligent.
We will move into the fourth public hearing, and that is the additional fee for cutting newer pavement and the penalty fee. Is that a Joe aspect?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Ms.
Tony.
Weir is griping about warm and giving us some air.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, so we're officially going into it? So-
Yes,
okay,
we'll come back and do the, it's in the resolutions and ordinances for the transient tax, so we'll
Okay.
come back to that.
Fair enough. Okay, so what we have proposed is an addition to the street maintenance ordinance as well as an amendment to. The addition is a fee to be paid upfront as part of the permitting process when you want to cut into new pavement. As you are well aware, we have a street maintenance program that tries to create new pavement from our street maintenance fee. And there was some, I guess, hot button moments where our street maintenance folks were experiencing folks who they tried to work with in advance to make sure that they did whatever they needed to do around the street and down under the street ahead of when they put in a new pavement so that the integrity of the pavement would stay intact. And there's been, I guess, several instances where new pavement was cut into right away and it destroyed the integrity. It wasn't exactly repaired back to its status as a brand-new piece of pavement, and arguably can't be. And so what we've tried to do is discourage the paving, or the cutting of newly paved streets with a decrease over time, so that, with an acknowledgement that basically new pavement isn't new forever. So that very first year that pavement is new, if you haven't gone ahead of time and done your due diligence of figuring out the street maintenance schedule of what's going to be newly paved and make sure that your stuff under it is working, then it's going to cost you, according to this, $5,000 for cutting into, or to get a permit to cut into a first year newly paved street. For the second year, it would be a $2,000 permit cost, and for the third year, it would be a $1,000 permit cost to cut into those new streets. And that's basically some teeth to make sure that people are thinking ahead, hopefully working with the street maintenance program and the works people to think ahead when they can, and then also to address in a small way the fact that a brand new paved street is worth much more than that amount, and so it kind of accounts for some of that degradation of a brand new street. On the tail end, the amendment searches to potentially have a punitive effect if people don't live up to what the street maintenance ordinance requires, which is putting everything back the way it should be. If we have people who just create a hole and leave it and don't do anything about it, well, it used to be arguably under the current law, it was going to be capped at a $500 bill for that. And if you didn't live up to restoring properly the street in a certain amount of time. So what this does is opens it up, but it makes it permissive, so that it doesn't have to be at $2,000, but it can be up to $2,000 if you do that and don't follow the ordinance and all the pieces of it. So that's where these two pieces, one amendment, one addition, what they try to attempt to do is on the front end, protect new streets, on the back end, give some potential teeth for folks who might create a hole and just leave it there.
Okay. Before we, questions, so everyone knows, we did have a work session on this before the meeting, so I think most of us have vetted our questions at that point during the work session, unless there's other questions that have come up in the last couple hours or so? No? Okay. You will get a chance coming right up, sir. Let me just open this up for you, and we'll get going to that. Yep. So I'll open the public hearing on the issue of the additional fee for cutting newer pavement and penalty fee. So are there any proponents for this particular new ordinance?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I didn't sign a card because I didn't realize it was coming. Roger Rife, 273 North Grant. I really don't want to be a proponent or opponent, just a question.
Sure.
As I represent Canby Telecom, we have lots of times people go out there for repairs that we don't know about. We go, oh gosh, so we have to make a curb cut because of what's existing in the street. And I don't know if that's exempt or it's meant to be, if somebody calls us up and they have their service, they have to go out in the street and make a little cut. Is that going to be $5,000 or what? So I'm hoping that it's not meant to be the repair and maintenance of the existing facilities that this applies to for telephone.
As I will turn that question to you guys, but my understanding is very much a similar conversation with Camp Utility,
Yes.
in that we're dealing with cuts and degradation of the existing roadway within the first 3 years. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of Mr. Rife's question, are we in the same situation that we're talking about with Camp Utility?
Well, my understanding of Camp Utility was we were going to explore a memorandum of understanding between government agencies that would allow for basically coming to agreement on whether or not certain fees would apply, how we were going to make sure regulations are followed, absent maybe the teeth, because we don't need them. Now, whether or not this is an emergency, there are emergencies and then there are emergencies. And the way it's written now, it would apply to them. However, there would potentially be a way to, on the permit application, to have a section that allows for applying for a waiver in the event of an emergency. And that could be handled on a case-by-case basis, and that might be the easiest way to do it.
Does that answer your question, sir?
I'll report back. I mean, has there been any input with Canby Telephone? Greg, have you contacted them about this to see if they had any input on it?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other opponents? Yes, sir.
Darren Monin again. I didn't come here for this, but I saw it was on your agenda and thought I would stay around, having been involved in this most recently, about a month ago with you folks. I don't know how, I mean, we like to believe we live in a city where people want to build and have businesses here and come and live here and things like that. I think whenever we put things like this up, it's a discouragement. And it's very expensive if you've ever pulled a permit to build something here, it is not cheap. And I've lived here all my life, and I find it, I'm the biggest advocate for the city of Canby you could probably find, but I'll tell you right out, it's not cheap to build here. It's not cheap to live here. It's what we live within, but I don't think we need another unreasonable fee for entering a road. You can't, in a construction, and I'm not alone in the construction world, I know there's somebody else in this room that is more into street openings and knows a lot more about it than I do, but you can't prepare like that. The process I had to go through to get it here last time to get approval to tie in, you have entities from all over telling us that you have to enter a road to put up a fire suppression system, and then somebody else tells you you're not going to cut into that road because it's new or for whatever reason, or somebody else will tell you that you're going to gain power, or you're going to gain some other kind of utility from another direction or another area. They're coming at you from all directions, and all you're trying to do is get a project done. Try to build, try to improve on an area, try to add some jobs to the local economy, and so on. And these fees, although some might be Canby Utility, some might be the city, some might be the county, for us as a builder, it's one big fee. We look at it as one big city entity, and it's just another fee. I would propose that when you pave a new road and it's unknown whether we're going to have to tie into it, whether it can be telephone or telecom or whoever, or us as an independent builder, people know how to repair roads. You can repair them. They're good at it. Some are shoddy. I would tell you that some of the roads that we have in town that have haven't been done right. I would agree with it. But you can have somebody bond it. You can bond them for 1 year. They can put up money and they'll bond it for 1 year. They can bond it for 3 years. They can bond it for 5 years. $5,000 in arbitrarily an amount that's going to cost, if I understood that correctly, seems really, really steep. Because sometimes the one that I was here a month ago talking to you about was about a 2-foot by a 3-foot cut in about 4 foot deep from me to your table. And that's it. And we were being made to do that. And I wish that somebody could have gotten in the middle and said, you can't do it. And you were going to override the other folks who are telling you have to do it for a fire suppression system. It would have saved about $40,000. I mean, it's just an unreasonable request, I think. I would encourage you to look at a bond type way of looking at it, and then if the road holds up, your Jerry Nelzine, somebody looks at it and says it's held up in the time that it was a 1-year bond or a 3-year or a 5-year, that they get their money back. And that would be, I think, a better way to go about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes, sir.
I, like Darren, didn't come for this subject either, didn't realize it was on the agenda, but, and I'm not sure whether I'm an opponent or proponent for it, but I'm very concerned, like Darren, that we would, by the sounds and the scope of the reading of the ordinance, that it could be too broad, it could be really difficult to enforce with fairness to maybe achieve the things that we want to achieve. I'm concerned that our streets are maintained, and really am appreciative of the fact that we are able to take that transportation money and spend money to repair the streets, and for the first time in a long time we're gaining. And but with development and builders, the circumstances behind why someone would need to get in the street are so great that an ordinance could really just cause more problems than it does solve. And like Darren mentioned, something that's really common is a bond. We have bonds, and I guess I'm assuming that everybody knows what I do, but I'm Doug Sprague with Canby Excavating also. So we work daily in streets and see, I guess, this all the time. But a bond is a very reasonable item to bring accountability. And the other thing that I think is kind of like the ordinance issue earlier, your specifications can drive this to accomplish what we want to accomplish. In the city of Dallas, I know, Greg, you were there before, but we did a project there. And cutting into the street, there were special measures taken to eliminate the patches and increase the integrity. It was very expensive for the developer to do, but it did restore the street to the integrity that it needed to be. So there's just some other ways to solve that. So my statement is just be careful. I don't know what all is in here, but so that would, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from gallery on this? No? Okay. I'll close the public hearing. Question, I guess questions from us to staff. Can you reiterate just the why behind what's been our experience and why this has kind of been generated?
Drive down 2nd Avenue, and I'm a citizen of this town too, and I drive down 2nd Avenue, And I believe Mr. Monin says know how to repair. Well, they didn't on Second Avenue evidently, because it is, as far as I'm concerned, a mess, and it's a way not to do it. And as Mr. Sprague said, there are ways to do it, but it gets pretty expensive. And one of the things you do, I mean, I've seen, the state requires, if you cut into a state road, you pave curb to curb, I think it's 150 feet either side, if it's a diagonal cut, or not a diagonal, but 90 degree to the curb. So, and what you've heard from tonight are people in the industry. Well, I'm not in the industry, I'm a citizen. And I've driven down 2nd Street, and I think Mr. Sprague is right, there's ways to do it. A bond isn't necessarily the way, because does that failure happen in 1 year? I don't think so. Maybe, maybe not, it depends on how it's done. But there should be a standard for the city in terms of how to repair, and we should enforce it. I agree with that. And maybe that's where the problem is. But as Mr. Sprague also said, to do it right, it gets very expensive. So do we want to look at the integrity of our streets and sacrifice the integrity of our streets? That's going to cost us more, the city more, down the road. The developer's gone, you know, then the bond's gone after a year and 1 day. So all I'm saying is, you know, I don't think you've heard from citizens tonight to say that there might be a problem.
Appreciate that. Councilor Hensley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we explored any other options other than this?
Yes.
Have we looked at the idea of a bond? Have we looked at other ways to fix this problem? I hear the problem being the integrity of our streets, and I agree with that. I'm a citizen here too, and I like to keep the fillings in my teeth. However, I'm hearing both sides of the issue, and I'm just wondering if we've explored all the options and done our due diligence in vetting everything that can
I don't
be
know
done.
if we've explored all options, but we have explored other ones. One of those was looking at the way the state does it, but that's really expensive. And I know the state requires that from experience, and it's not fun. Just putting in a storm line one time in Independence, had to pave 150 feet either way on Highway 51. You can scream as loud as you want, but ODOT's not going to hear you. So we have looked at, I looked at that, but I thought, no, that's a little too expensive. And I think what you would have is, again, the industry's here tonight, and the industry would disagree that they should have to be that onerous. Again, I say, we get those bonds, and we had bonds on 2nd Avenue, you know, but they last 12 months. And then the bond's gone, and that's, you know, the integrity of your road is shot. Now we're looking at trying to repave that this year. I don't know if that's on Jerry's list this year or not, but.
What about the 3-year or 5-year bond? Wouldn't that be enough time to see if there's degradation?
I don't know if you can require, I don't know, I'd have to ask industry. I don't know if you can.
It'd be difficult to get a 2- and 3-year bond.
That's, yeah, 1 year's pretty industry standard.
Pretty standard. City of Portland does 2-year bonds, but that's kind of pretty extreme.
And they have to pay for that bond, you know. So, again, additional cost to the industry. I would think.
Mr. Mayor, if I could add something.
Yeah.
It seems like this is another opportunity where we've got, you know, the citizens of the community are not experts on asphalt and concrete, and the city has some concerns, but I think where the opportunity lies is to invite the business, the developers, the ones that are in that field that know how to solve the problem, to get together with the city and discuss the possible ways of solving that problem. So rather than, you know, keeping them out of the loop, get them in the loop and have them help come up with the solution and what's reasonable and what's not. Because on the panel here, we're not experts on asphalt and concrete.
I am not.
That's no.
No. I know what I like to drive on, but that's about it, you know.
I can get an expert from ODOT to come and talk about
Well,
They're already out there on the road, right?
it. Well,
Well, Clint, I think once we head down that, forgive me, road of asking those who we are regulating how they want to be regulated, we're going to have a lot of other folks coming in here saying, I've got some ideas on how I should be regulated. that I don't think that is a model that the city has used before, is gone to industry and saying, how would you like us to regulate you? I think we tend to look at best practices, how other cities do it, and I appreciate your willingness to be inclusive. But if you came to me and said, well, how would you like to be taxed, Greg, and how would you like to be regulated, I'd say not at all, thank you for asking me. So I think we may need a more nuanced approach.
Well, I think if I could interrupt, I think what I was referring to is taking developers that live here in the community, they got skin in the game, and they are capable of providing solutions that we are uninformed that are out there, and they're gonna know how to solve these problems. They care a great deal about our community, and they can provide some really valuable information towards solving the problem.
That's not a bad idea. I think I consider Jerry Nelzine fairly knowledgeable about, how to do this, and I think he gets told all the time how it should be done. So, but that's not a bad idea. I mean, what we need to do is develop a standard, make sure that it's something that's acceptable to the community, but that fits our needs also, and make sure that we protect our asset and our infrastructure so that we don't have to charge more for maintenance fees, et cetera, and they go further.
And that was part of, again, back to the workshop that we had, the dialogue that we were having was, there was a long period of time where roadways would be cut into and open trenches left, and that just continued to break down the road. And we have, I think, Mr. Mona made the comment about we've made great strides in upgrading our roads, and we are making ground and headway. We've gone great lengths to try to prevent and circumvent these cut-ins to fresh pavement, because I think it was either one of you, Greg's, had made the comment about, we lay down fresh asphalt, then somebody comes in and cuts into it, and then people go, well, that wasn't very brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it does quickly then deteriorate a section of road. So what is that happy medium, and is that, is this is teeth. We wanted teeth in terms of protecting our assets and our infrastructure. This is definitely the teeth piece of it. So, I understand, Councilor Coleman's comment of the inclusive conversation piece, and maybe that's, a pro-con conversation with, on the issue. I don't know. Is there a way to be proactive and plan better for both city and, the construction piece? We brought up the issue of, well, if a development does go in and they have to tap into the line, is that a pass? Is that does that need to be worked into the ordinance? I don't know. That's where I guess we come in this decision and, put it into place. Again, we talk about the living, breathing documents and ordinances and resolutions. We put it in and find out, okay, we're too strict, not strict enough, that kind of a piece. So that's
I believe Mr. Monin brought up something really, we discussed this when we talked a few weeks ago, and that is developers see it as one entity, basically. They don't necessarily understand fire department. You've got Canby Utility, you've got Canby Telephone, you've got all these people cutting into these streets. They don't see the difference in who is doing what. And I don't know how, and as Mr. Monin said, everybody's got a requirement, and hopefully that can be taken care of at pre-construction meetings, but not necessarily. And everybody wants a permit, everybody's got their hand out, including the city. We've got an asset to protect too, and it takes a little bit of money. So I don't know how to do that, but maybe that conversation, as Councilor Coleman talked about, maybe that's a discussion that could be had, but everybody at the table, including the regulators and the industry. But I also agree with Councilor Parker.
Yeah. How do you want to be regulated, Greg?
None.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion pieces on this issue? Okay. That ordinance comes up here in a little bit later, so we'll address that then. Okay, great. Thank you for all those that have participated in that. I appreciate that. With that, we will move into resolutions and ordinances.
Okay.
Here we go,
First
folks.
item we have is Resolution 1159. It's extending workers' compensation coverage to volunteers and repealing Resolution 1129. And our city attorney will present a second.
And this is a continuation on from what we've been doing. We do have various volunteers in various departments, and we want to make sure that we're insured in case they get hurt. So, and we do this every year, so it's basically the same thing.
All right. Any comments or questions on the resolution at hand? Okay, I'll take a motion. Don't all
Mr.
jump on
Mayor,
it.
I'll move for resolution number 1159, a resolution extending the City of Canby's workers' compensation coverage to volunteers of the City of Canby and repealing Resolution 1129.
Thank you, sir. Can I have a second or not? Sure.
Ready, jump at.
We're enjoying the hot room. Okay, so,
Works phones.
resolution was motioned by Councilor Dale, seconded by Councilor Parker to approve Resolution 1159, a resolution extending the City of Canby's workers and workers' compensation coverage to volunteers of the City of Canby and repealing Resolution 1129. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next one.
Okay, the next one we have is ordinance 1374. This is adding chapter 3.50 to the Canby Municipal Code, thereby establishing a transient room tax.
Great, which we've had conversation and question on this evening. Is there a motion on this at all? Seeing no motion, we will not pass that and move on to the next one. Is that,
That's valid.
Kim, do I need to, I mean,
Well, it's
I've
just
not
for
had
the
a.
record, yeah, when there's no vote. Okay, never mind.
No, no.
We'll just-
It wasn't, there was no one willing to make the motion.
No.
Well, just
That-
because you
that-
make a motion doesn't mean you're gonna vote yes or no. but
So I need to go
that's-
through those motions?
Well, that's fine if you're, we'll just take it off and we can reassign the number, so.
Well, so what we need to do to kill it is to make a motion, second it, and then vote it down, is what you're saying?
That would.
Well, then I'll move to, I'll move to
Thank
vote
you.
on that then.
Second.
Okay. Do I have to say the whole title?
So a motion's been made by Councilor Hensley, second by Councilor Coleman, on the issue of ordinance number 1374, an ordinance adding chapter 3.50 to the Canby Municipal Code, thereby establishing a transient room tax. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
Sounds like it goes down 0, none for and 5 against. Okay, and that, apologize, that is a first-time issue where we've had not a first or a second, so pardon our inexperience on that issue. We'll move on.
The next item we have is ordinance 1375. This is authorizing a contract with S2 Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $671,821.10 for the construction of the 2013 street maintenance program. This is before you for second reading.
And this was discussed at our last meeting, and it's the paving projects for the summer for the, as we were talking about, for the road maintenance. So, perfect.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move for ordinance number 1375, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute a contract with S2 Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $671,821.10 for construction of the 2013 street maintenance program and declaring an emergency.
Second?
Motion made by Councilor Dale, second by Councilor Hensley, for ordinance 1375, authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute a contract with S2 Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $671,821.10 for construction of the 2013 street maintenance program and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, pardon me.
Sorry.
Counselor Hensley?
Aye.
Counselor Coleman?
Aye.
Counselor Dale?
Aye.
Counselor Parker?
Aye.
Counselor Ryder?
Aye.
Great, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Kim.
The next item we have, this is also before you for second reading, is ordinance 1376. This is authorizing the purchase of a Case CX50B mini excavator from Sans Ray Machinery LLC.
And this one is also a second reading and discussed at the last meeting. This was Public Works Supervisor presented with the proposal to sell off some of our unused equipment and be able to purchase a new piece of equipment that would help our Vector truck in most situations, so that we're not wearing that one out any faster than we already do. So I will take a motion on that, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass ordinance 1376, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Case CX50B mini excavator from Sans Ray Machinery LLC.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Hensley, seconded by Counselor Dale to approve ordinance 1376, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Case CX50B mini excavator from Sans Ray Machinery LLC. Second reading.
Counselor Hensley?
Aye.
Counselor Coleman?
Aye.
Counselor Dale?
Aye.
Counselor Parker?
Aye.
Counselor Wright?
Aye.
Great one. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item we have is ordinance 1377. This is authorizing an amended contract with Penn Technology, Inc. to continue to provide computer technical services for the city of Canby.
And I can quickly say, these are the folks who do our IT for us. And this is the same as last year's, so there's no change to this contract whatsoever. The year prior, there was a $10,000 amount of services increase. But this year, they're proposing to do the same level of services. And I think last year their increase was because there was the new police and facility, and there was extra stuff going on with moves and stuff. So
Right.
now they're just thinking that they're going to be able to operate within those means again with some of the, I think, potential moves that are going to happen in the city.
Okay. Perfect. Motion?
Comment, well,
No,
I can
yeah.
make a motion first to get discussion going.
Okay.
I move for ordinance number 1377, an ordinance authorizing the city of Canby to enter into an amended contract with Kin Technology Incorporated to continue to provide computer technical services for the city and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Motion made. Discussion? Did you have a question?
Just the comment that, based on Exhibit B.
Sorry.
There wasn't a second.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Can I get a second?
For the sake of discussion, yes, second.
Thank you.
Just wanted to comment that, based on the Exhibit B prices, it's not a bad deal at all in terms of the hourly rate, both for the 85 grand for the year, and then the base hourly rates that you find at the bottom of Exhibit B are just real normal industry standard amounts. So nothing unusual there.
Thank you, sir. Great. So we have a motion by Counselor Dale, seconded by Counselor Hensley to approve ordinance 1377, authorizing the city of Canby to enter an amended contract with Kin Technology Incorporated to continue to provide computer technical services for the city and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, passes 5-0.
Okay, the next item we have, this is also before you for second reading, is ordinance 1378. This is granting to Clackamas County Broadband a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby.
This was also in a work session this evening for us, discussing where we're at with the franchise agreements and moving to a privilege tax component and the extent at which we would like to do that. And it turns out we need more than one work session to have that conversation. And so I guess I put it to the council to decide if we want to entertain these and approve the franchise piece of it to come back later, or table until we work out those details.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think it'd be reasonable to approve the franchise agreements at this time because the franchisees that made the application have agreed to pay the maximum. They've agreed to be open to, I think, the ongoing research that's going to be made in trying to level the playing field. And they've been very good about coming forward and communicating with us. So I think it'd be very reasonable to support second reading of this.
Okay. Is that a motion, sir?
Oh, yes, it is.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have, no, you're fine. A motion made by Counselor Coleman and a second by Counselor Parker for approval of ordinance number 1378, and an ordinance granting to Clackamas County a political subdivision of the state of Oregon a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby, Oregon, and declaring an emergency. Any other discussion on this at all?
I'll just say that since the last reading, the workshop we had tonight, nothing has really changed for me as
Okay.
far as the reasons why I voted no last time. I think there might even be more questions after the workshop today.
Okay.
So that's all I have to say
All
at
right.
the moment.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, likewise, our discussion in the workshop, I think, amplified the concerns I had on the first reading for voting no.
Okay, appreciate that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second round is roll call.
I just really am just, no, you're doing your job. I'm,
Just keeping us in
yes,
check.
thank you.
Counselor Hensley?
No.
Counselor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Dale?
No.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Ryder?
No.
Does not pass. 2 noes, or 2 yeses, 3 noes. Okay.
Okay, the next item we have is ordinance 1379. This is authorizing a contract with CR Woods Trucking in the amount of $229,800.50 for construction of the Northwood Park project.
Yeah, this is a project that's been going on for some time. And Northwood's project, or Northwood's subdivision, is right off of Territorial 14th in that area. And there has been a ongoing discussion at the Parks and Rec Committee to purchase playground equipment, and they finally got to the point that they've agreed on what they want, and they put it in a bid and got, there have been bids, and this is the recommendation to the council to approve for that neighborhood project.
All right. Any,
Just a clarification for our city administrator. On page 83 under background, it says that the Parks Development Fund has accrued sufficient funds to construct the improvements. Just want to make it clear for the folks at home, this is being paid for by those monies
That's correct.
and not out of the general fund, so to speak.
No, in fact, some of these monies come from SDC, System Development Charges, and I don't know if you know it, there is a provision in most cities' codes and in ours that a developer can either give money or he can give land for a park, et cetera. So this Northwoods Park was part of the development that was given, or part of the park that was, the land was given for a park as part of the development agreement. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
thank you. Yep, thank you. I'll take a motion.
Sorry, trying to find the verbiage. I'll make it up. Mr.
No.
Mayor? I move we pass ordinance number 1379, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city administrator to award a contract with CR Woods Trucking Incorporated in the amount of $229,800.50 for the construction of the Northwood Park project and declaring an emergency. Gotta hurry up and get that done.
Great.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Counselor Hensley, second by Counselor Coleman to approve ordinance 1379, authorizing a contract with CR Woods Trucking in the amount of $229,800.50 for constructions of the Northwood Park project and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, the next item we have is ordinance 1380. This is amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 12, creating Section 12.08.065, an additional fee for cutting newer pavement, and amending section 12.08.200.
Great, which we've had extensive dialogue this evening about. Entertain a motion. Again, I think we're in the same situation where we need to have a motion to vote it down.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'll
Thank you.
move for ordinance number 1380, an ordinance amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 12, creating section 12-08.065, an additional fee for cutting newer pavement, and amending section 12.08.200.
Okay, I have a first. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Parker. So motion's been made by Councilor Dale and seconded by Councilor Parker to approve ordinance number 1380, an ordinance amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 12, creating section 12.08.065, an additional fee for cutting newer pavement, and amending section 12.08.200. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I don't think it's
Councilor Ryder?
Sorry.
on which
So
one.
are you opposed, sir? Okay. So 2 ayes and 3 noes by count.
I would like to clarify my vote a little bit for the city administrator's sake.
Sure.
It's not that I don't want to protect the integrity of the streets. I'm thinking that maybe this just needs more work before we look at it.
I understand. You don't have to justify your vote, to be honest.
Well, it wasn't
I
justified.
appreciate
It was
that.
clarifying.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hensley. Appreciate that.
Can I get clarification on that?
Sure.
The ayes were Parker
The-
and Coleman? Or Dale, excuse me.
Yes. Dale and Parker, and the noes were Hensley, Coleman, and Ryder. Yep.
Next item we have is ordinance 1381. This is before you for second reading. This is granting to TW Telecom of Oregon LLC a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby.
All right, much like our first trip to the rodeo. May I have a motion, please?
We need to vote on it.
Yes,
so
we
I'll
do,
move.
please.
Okay. Ordinance
can't make 'em.
1380, I move to vote on ordinance 1380, amending the,
8-1.
oh, I'm sorry, 1381. Okay, I'm on the right page now, I apologize. An ordinance granting to TW Telecom of Oregon LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby, Oregon, and declaring an emergency.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Parker. Motion by Councilor Hensley, second by Councilor Parker to approve ordinance number 1381, an ordinance granting to TW Telecom of Oregon LLC, otherwise known as TWTC, a Delaware limited liability company, a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby, Oregon, and declaring an emergency. This is for second reading. So I will not ask for the vote, Kim.
Counselor Hensley,
No.
Counselor Coleman,
Yeah.
Counselor Dale,
No.
Counselor Parker,
Yes.
Counselor Ryder.
No.
Thank you.